And please welcome our first speaker, Erik Kruse. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erik Kruse. This is strange. Where do I see my slides? Oh, there we go. It's strange times now. With the COVID, it's a black swan. I have called my presentation "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet," the second wave of digital transformation, because I think what we see today is, or what we have seen today so far, is a transformation of the consumer industry thanks to the smartphone, the iPhone, and we have seen new companies emerge thanks to the smartphone and the digital infrastructure with the companies like Spotify, Uber, you name it. But what I see now with both 5G and artificial intelligence and the exponential times that we're living in with technology development, I think we are entering a second wave of transformation, and I will talk a little bit about that because I think this will have profound impact on enterprises in a much higher degree compared to the first wave of transformation that was quite disruptive for consumer-oriented companies. But now we are moving into where we change what we produce. It will change profoundly business models in a major way. It will change how we organize capabilities in society. And then also in the end of my presentation, I will urge you to think about some stuff, because technology gives us huge opportunities, but with those opportunities follows responsibility as well. And I will talk about that in my last slides, where we need to take responsibility for the technological development. And of course, working for Ericsson 5G, I think of course, it will enhance consumer-oriented services like enhanced mobile broadband. We can replace or complement fiber with fixed wireless access, but the real transformation and the real stuff is happening when we get massive machine type of communication. That is Internet of Things, and then also we can innovate and create new types of services with critical machine type of communication, where cars can talk to each other with low latency. We can change how factories are built and are organized. So I think, of course, 5G will enhance the mobile broadband experience, but I think the big change will be when we start to deploy Internet of Things and also critical machine type of communication, because then it affects how we can organize things, and also it releases data that has been locked in or encapsulated in different devices, and we can make decisions based on the data that we release. And also the combination with not only the broadband and 5G as such, but with artificial intelligence and new types of technological development, we can really start innovating and create radically new efficiencies. And this, and I will not go through this slide, but it will affect all industries. Everything from utilities, automotive will change the way infrastructures are built and how they work, we can create the vision that everyone has talked about smart cities. It will affect all industries in society, and it will of course then also affect society as such, and we as end users will see new types of innovations, but also I think the people that are working with agriculture, they can create new types of services, higher yields, they can measure leakage of fertilization in a better way, and hopefully that will impact the environment that we live in a positive way. Because I think with 5G we are moving from an infrastructure to an infrastructure, because today with the current infrastructure we have the mobile revolution, we have the apps that we are using as end users, we see social networking where we use both the mobile phone as well as the computer for having social interactions. We see lots of cloud-based services, broadband, and of course trials with emerging tech. But I think by 2033 or even much further, much earlier, we will see an infrastructure instead, where we have pervasive data access. And then I don't mean data in speeds and so on. I mean, we can get data from everywhere. With the evolution of other technologies, we will see much more automation of business execution. Hopefully we will see artificial intelligence and machine learning at the edge, because that becomes much more energy efficient. We will see blockchain out in the edges and in the networks, and then Internet of Things will have a major impact. And that also means that we will see new type of convergences. I think our industry has talked a lot about the convergence between media, telecom, and IT. Tomorrow, I think we will see convergences between blockchain, artificial intelligence, 5G, and nanotechnology, for example. So we will see new types of convergences, and also that means new types of industries will emerge. So I think we are into something that is really exciting, and it will be fantastic to see how both society works, but also how new industries are built up based on the technology as such. And that means also that traditional companies or legacy companies or industrial companies need to think about where do they want to play, because today everyone is looking for new types of efficiencies. So they are on the left side on this slide. They are getting better performance of the current offering, or try to improve the offering to the current market. But the disruptors are looking for example, synergy offerings across industries, being a horizontal platform for several industries, and then also based on the evolution of both digitalization, but especially datafication, that they are actually creating new types of markets. They are creating profoundly new offerings to new markets based on the datafication. And I think that becomes quite disruptive. And also you need to think about how does the industrial dynamics change, because when I did a study on digital disruption, we interviewed, for example, Google, and of course it was quite natural for them to walk into the car industry because they said self-driving cars is a computational problem, it's not a mechanical problem. And Google is really good on handling and crunching complex data. So it was quite natural for them. But I don't think many people from the car industry thought that Google would walk into the car industry, but they did with their software skills, with their computational capacity, their skills in machine learning, etc., etc. So it was quite natural for them to walk in, and there we will see lots of changes because suddenly new players will walk into established industries, take away some of the players, but since both digitalization and datafication will affect all industries, we will see new types of competitors that has not been a part of the traditional industrial structure. And there we need to think how we can both help the traditional industry to innovate and also use the datafication that and help them to analyze the data, because it will be a quite new type of competitive landscape in the future. So I think that is one important thing to remember, that and that is why Lindholmen Software Development Day is such a good event, because then we can help our traditional industry becoming much better and also help them with the new competitive landscape. What I'm working on is, and I talked about it, AI in the edge. Everyone is talking about cyber physical models with AI digital twins, but what I'm working on now is to also put financial models on the edge, so you can actually change the business model in real time on the edge, on the device, so you can, for example, see what is the rest value of a car or a truck that has been driven good and compared to a truck that has been used in a bad way, and then you can calculate the rest value directly on the edge, because that will affect leasing contracts. You can put transactions, you can have pay per usage, but if you can push out AI on small devices and financial models, then an idea is also to put sustainability models on the edge to measure in real time the carbon footprint. You could have dynamic pricing based on the carbon footprint, for example. You could think about different use cases. So I think one theme that I see is that we are moving from a centralized to a decentralized or distributed computing model, where you actually can put both cyber physical models on the edge, sustainability models on the edge, and financial models on the edge, and that will change the landscape quite dramatically for the web scalers, as well as how you can create new types of business models, as well as also how you can measure your sustainability index in a new way, in real time, instead of doing it once a year or twice a year. you can do it, and you can actually see how our behavior is affecting sustainability. So what we see now is the emergence of the vision that we have had for so long time. If you look in the middle, we have changed the consumption pattern. We have changed how we can distribute things. Now, with the second wave of transformation, we are changing how we produce, what we produce. So the whole production chain will change. That means also that organizations need to change. We need to be much more network, much more agile. We cannot we need to be much more transparent. It will change the business models, and sooner or later it will change the industry structure, because the society and the industry needs to go from siloed transport to much more intelligent transport systems. And with the technology and digitalization and IoT, we can do it. We need to have smarter energy, and we can measure the environmental impact. We can create new types of services. Farming needs to be connected because both due to sustainability, but also to increase the yield. And sooner or later, we will also create the vision of smart cities, etc., etc. And information and communication technology will be the profound platform for creating all this. And with computational capacity, AI, new types of software, and it will happen, and that will be quite big transformation for traditional companies, but they need to move there because society wants it, and I think the consumer also wants it. But with, as I said, with this exponential technology development, it goes with a responsibility, because sooner or later we need to ask ourselves how we use technology and for what purpose, and even if things are possible to do, should we do it? 2 years ago, I met this guy. He has a camera mounted into his skull, and it gives him signals, sound signals on different colors, because he can only see grayscale. And Elon Musk is talking about brain implants and so on. Is this the future that we want, or do we want something else? So we need to take responsibility for saying enough is enough, or this is how far we go, but maybe we shouldn't go to creating humanoids. And this is the first humanoid in the world, by the way. And also with 5G, everyone is talking about tactile internet. Do we want to replace this with tactile internet and a digital service? Maybe, sometimes, but I think we need to ask ourselves those quite fundamental questions on how far do we want to go with the technology. Just because it's possible to do it, maybe is not socially acceptable to create certain services. Because I think the biggest risk that we are facing now and towards 2033 is ROI, and that is not return on investment, it's risk of ignorance. That we are ignoring our planet and also our definition of humanity. And that is something that we all need to take responsibility for, and also ask ourselves, how far do we want to go? And I think we need to ask ourselves, what kind of society do you want to live in, and what kind of society do you want to create? We have seen so many dark sides of technology, and I think what we need to create as human beings as well as enterprises is a vision. And I have stolen this from Rosa Detmos-Cantor, who is a professor at MIT, and she said a vision is not just a picture of what could be, because that's easy to imagine to a certain extent and show pictures of what could be. But a vision, it's an appeal to our better selves, meaning that we want to, as individuals and as companies, using technology to make good. And also it's a call to become something more, not only thinking about quarterly profit or monthly profit or your own salary, but to become something more that really creates a society that we want to live in. With that, I thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erik, for an inspirational talk, an excellent opening of today, and I think also a challenging presentation in many ways.